Hello, fellow detectives. Before we get into this episode of Treachery, please remember I am judging these players based off of an edit of this TV show. Their devious deeds do not define them as total people, so please don't send them any hate for being up to no good, for that is the name of this game. Enjoy the episode. It's our most dramatic roundtable yet as one of our players takes a big swing. And it's a group mission with a twist. Welcome to another debrief for Traitors Australia Season 3. This is Treachery. Hello, my fellow detectives, and welcome back to Treachery. And we are here for another debrief on all of the chaos. And boy, was there some chaos in episode 3 of season 3 of Traitors Australia. Oh my goodness, where do we start? Well, Henry took a big old swing and missed. And we have the group mission where we saw the very short-lived return of Cam Merchant. Oh, and we haven't even spoken about breakfast. This breakfast, I think it set the tone for the whole episode because I was like, what is happening? Cosima just activated out of nowhere. And I was like, Where did this come from, Cosima? She hasn't been one of the front-facing characters. And then to just go, bleh, straight away, I was like, okay, maybe not the best approach in a game like this, because going that hard, that fast out of nowhere, and we saw a tiny cutaway with, I think it was Tully, saying that she was getting on her nerves. And I was like, no, I don't think this is going to end well. And it didn't really achieve anything, unfortunately, because poor Cosima was trying to get to the bottom of who exactly the 6 were that Monarchy had mentioned, and that didn't go well. So poor Cosima also sort of swung and missed. Maybe that's the theme of this episode, a swing and a miss. How many misses can they make? Because they also missed out on $10,000. But before we get to the mission, I need to talk about our traitor's latest victim. It was Monarchy. Now, this one was kind of an obvious conclusion. Monarchy was being very vocal. We saw it called out in the challenge last episode. I just think the traitors thought this was an easy kill. I think it's as simple as that. I don't think they're playing that strategic of a game, because I still personally believe that all this time later, the traitors made a very fatal first mistake in killing Queen. I understand that Kirby felt threatened, but inadvertently, she has exposed at least 2 of the 3 traitors. It may not come to pass just yet, but I sincerely think it will. And the traitors only have themselves to blame for that. But this time, they got rid of Monarchy. Poor, handsome Monarchy, as Alex put it, and I can't disagree, has been removed from the game and claimed as our traitor's next victim. And I think our traitors need to be very careful, and that's not just because I know what's coming at the round table. But let's talk about the group challenge. Now, this one was another deep dive into the lore and background of our Ringmaster of Ruin, Gretel Colleen, and the character of which she's built with a dead accountant and now consulting a life coach that is telling her her accountant's soul is displeased. Only on the traitors, ladies and gentlemen, only on the traitors. I love it, I love it, I love it. For this challenge, our motley crew were tasked with gathering offerings for the accountant's soul and bringing them back to the starting line, but they had to carry them the entire way on a palanquin, I believe was the term. This is just perfectly theatrical, and I'm going to come to Gretel a little bit later on because I'm very happy to report I feel like she has brought that effort with her enthusiasm and theatricalness into the round table. We'll come to that. Back to the challenge. This was, I think, really interestingly presented, but I think at the core of it is a pretty simple mission. You go and collect the things that are heavy and you bring them back working together as a group. However, as we have seen and as is told to us, this group couldn't communicate to save themselves if they were on a life raft floating in the middle of the ocean. Or, to put it in Traitors terms, couldn't save themselves if they were in a boat in the middle of a Scottish loch. I'm just saying. So, this was never going to end well, because not only were the boys going to take over, because it would be like, yes, we need the strongest ones, as the girls told us, the boys seem to think they're more switched on. In particular, Dicko. I have to be really frank with you. Dicko got on my nerves in this challenge. And then thank God he was told to shut up, and Henry kind of took the lead. But I feel like that probably also potentially put a target on Henry's back. But that could just be my viewpoint. But although I say things are simple, we all know that in Traitors Land nothing is ever as simple as it seems, and that is indeed true with this challenge, because we saw the return, which I was delighted with, by Mr. Cam Merchant. Poor Cam. My heart breaks for Cam, because imagine signing up to do the Traitors, being banished once, then being shoved in a hotel room, only to be brought back, tied to a pole, and banished for a second time. Like, how unlucky can you be in this game? Shane Gould was, like, displeased with how much of a target that put on her back. But imagine if she was in Cam's shoes. That would not go well. This made me sad, because I felt really bad for Cam. And I honestly would have liked to have seen him come into the game. And I cannot believe that our faithfuls walked away from $10,000 in not bringing him into the game. That is so much money. And to be fair, they could have just banished him in the next round table. So, like, is it that big of a deal? I don't think that it is. But apparently everybody's like, we don't need another one in this mix. So, no Cam, it was decided. But the twins did put up a fight, which I thought was quite gallant of them, and actually has kind of changed my opinion on the twins a bit. I am not the biggest fan of the twins, but this did change my opinion. After the break, fellow detectives, we're going to get into that round table and the banishment. Oh boy. See you in a second. Welcome back, fellow detectives. We have so much to get into with this round table and this banishment, because after running his mouth pretty much around the entire manor for the entire episode, Henry is about to spill his beans. Will it go well? Well, you already know. Sort of, I think, would be the answer if I had to give you my honest opinion. Because I agree with Reese in the sense of 3 traitors was 2 traitors too many. Just stick to the one. You didn't need to, like, go, 1 can lead us to 3. Start somewhere, Henry. And props to you for going so bold in starting somewhere. But trying to take down the whole conclave, I think, was potentially a mistake. Ugh. But I really do have to applaud the boldness, and honestly, I kind of have to applaud Kirby's game. Now, this is by no means a perfect game. In fact, if I'm honest with you, I think their choice of victims for the murderings have been sloppy. I don't think they're as bold and as captivating as the traitors think they are, but I think she's doing a good job in attempting to divert suspicion and remaining relatively cool under suspicion. However, you really got to rein it in around your fellow Survivor players, Kirby, because they are reading you like a book. And the problem is now, you can't get rid of Henry too soon. Because if you do, that suspicion is going to be so far on you, you may as well kiss your chances at that money goodbye immediately. So this is bad. And speaking of bad, we then have to talk about the other two that Henry has mentioned, that being the twins. Because he is so far off the mark here, he may as well be in Antarctica. Henry, what were you thinking? Not the twins. I still personally don't see it. I don't see how you could go, yeah, the twins are traitors. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't matter which way you slice it, just because they're twins or otherwise to me. I'm like, oh, this does not make any sense. Now, see, if it were me, I probably would have said someone like Kirby and then someone like a Reese or, I don't know, maybe even Tully. You could also throw Rob into that mix, but we're going to come to Rob later because what were you doing, Rob? But bringing us back to the table, as one might expect, this really threw a cat amongst the pigeons and also caused Dicko to sort of speak out of turn. I'm beginning to think that Dicko does not know how to play this game and did not do a single ounce of research before agreeing to do so. Because not only does this man not want to hunt traitors himself, he doesn't want to let his other group members hunt traitors, and then the way he's speaking in the round table, defending Cosima aside, I'm like, you don't want to catch traitors at all. So Dicko, have you seen the show? Because what is going on here? While it's incredibly noble that he did defend Cosima so well, a very lovely thing to do for someone he considers a friend, what if she was a traitor? Like, I know she isn't, but I don't think Dicko is playing this game with his game head on. And I'm really confused by it. So I feel like the roundup of this wild round table is that Henry has a massive target on his back, Kirby has a massive target on her back, and Dicko, well, Dicko's somewhere in the forest trying to save Cosima, who also, unfortunately, because of her outburst at breakfast, has a massive target on her back. So it's not going well for any of our players, really, at this point. You could say maybe it's going well for our traders, but I feel like they are inches from coming completely unstuck with the way they're not thinking ahead in this game and the sloppy victim choices. It's not working for me, but clearly it's working for them. Oh my goodness, what a round table that was. So are they going to top that this season? I guess we're just going to have to keep tuning in to find out, aren't we? But then that brings me to the last piece of this episode, and the point in which I have to ask Rob, what are you doing? You are literally playing right into Kirby's hands. So this is why I say bravo to Kirby, but Rob, what are you doing? She's playing in your face, and you're like, it was so genuine, it was so real. I don't think you're a traitor. Wake up, Rob. No. Oh my God. I was literally watching with my head in my hands going, no, stop. Oh, but I am very excited to get into what I'm sure is going to be a chaotic aftermath of this episode in our next one. So that is your lot for this episode of Treachery. However, before I go, I will give you my predictions as to the 4 that will be in those cages that we saw in the next time preview. I'm going to do this as a lightning round. I'm going to say Dicko. I'm going to say Kira. I'm going to say Kirby. And I'm going to say Reese. Dicko, Kirby, Kira, Reese. There you go. And with that, my fellow detectives, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and come and say hello over on YouTube and on Spotify. You can also leave me a comment or come and say hello over on socials, because we are having a great time over there with the mini episode recaps before these full episodes drop. So please come and join the fun. I'm having a great time. Till I see you next time, stay safe out there, fellow detectives. It's treacherous.